Welcome to the AdHero Podcast. My name is Gino Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Livieri. And today on the AdHero Podcast, we're doing a quick hitter episode in light of some major news coming out of the world of the Mouse House, aka Disney. We'll be diving into the cautionary tale of businesses that have veered away from their core audience and trusted products only to fall short of prior success. Join us as we dissect Disney CEO Bob Iger's recent remarks about the uncertain future of linear TV assets and lessons we can all learn from companies who attempted to appeal to new markets. Stay tuned for expert insights and real-life examples to understand the consequences of strain from your core audience. Let's uncover the secrets of sustaining growth and success together in today's ever-changing market.
All right, let's do it. This story is coming out of Variety, and in summary, in Hollywood, Disney CEO Bob Iger's recent remarks about the uncertain future of linear TV assets have sparked chaos and speculation. Analysts are uncertain about his intentions, whether it's a complete disposal or a linear business or only certain cable networks. Disney employees are concerned about the future and the need to adapt to changing distribution models while continuing to create compelling content. As rumors swirl about potential buyers, Iger's focus on cost-cutting and streaming further adds to the intrigue, leaving industry insiders wondering about the fate of Disney's linear business. Matthew. So after Disney's biggest success in 2019 and during the lockdowns from the pandemic, Disney's tried a lot of new ideas to expand their audience, appease others, and keep their current audience hooked onto Disney Plus, which was a success outside the gate. But tell me why Disney made a horrible marketing decision with expansion across their IP.
Well, if I'm understanding the story correctly, the previous CEO, Bob Chapek, tried to move too quick on all these different projects. And he greenlit like a lot of different projects. And that kind of rushed the content. So now Bob Iger is like stepping back in to the fold, and he's kind of like pumping the brakes on everything. Is that your understanding of it, Gino?
Yeah, that's a huge summary. Well, not huge, but I mean that's a good summary of it. There was the pump out of like all these Marvel shows. There was a pump out of all these Star Wars shows. Just like you said, greenlit a bunch of movies. A lot of people are noticing that there's all these remakes, but turned into live action. The latest one being Little Mermaid, and then upcoming one of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There was also things of capturing new audiences and trying to expand on like the social justice tip with being more inclusive, going on with more audiences, expanding beyond. If Disney's all about families, then expanding beyond family. One can even argue, as Marvel fans, taking the content that was on Netflix, and no one really brings this up, but I like to bring this up. Taking the conflicts out on Netflix that was really R-rated and putting it on Disney Plus. But the funny thing was, I remember you had to have a password in order to get into specific content like that. However, anyone could see the password right there on the screen. And then, of course, there was fighting with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, as far as with the Disney World and all the things that were going on there. So there was just a plethora of things going on that I think turned off a lot of audiences. And now we see the backlash of their movies not profiting as big as they used to. Although, to be fair, most movies don't profit as much as they used to. Not a lot of people going to their theme parks as much as they used to. So we're seeing like this. Oh, and then of course the streaming services, which a lot of streaming services are failing, but Disney Plus, which was a banger in its initial out the gate, now it's lost a ton of subscribers. So I guess the going back to our topic here, like, is it smart? Well, obviously it wasn't really smart because we see the backlash of it, but the companies pivoting and trying to be so inclusive, trying to expand their product, just trying to steer away from what really works, kind of like how Bud Light did as well.
I guess what I'm trying to piece it together in my head here, like kind of like in real time.
Yes.
But I feel that, like, the cautionary tale for anybody listening to this episode is, you got to do your homework. You got to know who your core audience is, even if it's a small niche audience, and you got to stay laser focused on that niche audience. Maybe, under the Bob Chapek regime, they were like thinking like, hey, we already got the families coming here to the theme parks and on Disney Plus, so let's try to go get more people from like these other factions, these other groups, to spend money with Disney. But if those other groups represent a very small piece of your overall pie, then you have to really think about, like, what is the cost of going after that group? Because, like, if you turn off the as we like to say here in the business, the bread and butter of the business, you like to if you turn off the people who are buttering your toast, your main audience, because you're trying to appease like a very small slice of the pie, that's going to be troublesome for your business. That's going to spell disaster. And I think that's kind of what you saw under the Bob Chapek regime, as you said, kind of trying to, rush all these films, add all these different assets and properties, bring shows from Netflix over to Disney Plus, appease all these different groups, start having political battles. I mean, when did you ever hear Disney having political battles? Like, why are they even like getting involved in all that? It's just such a nasty thing to be a part of, right? Like, you shouldn't, don't just don't mess with it, right? Don't associate your name with any of that nonsense. That got a lot of people, perturbed. That got a lot of people upset. So, and I think other brands, like you mentioned, Bud Light, other ones, you're seeing it where, it's we've kind of mentioned this before on the AdHero podcast, where like,
right,
you don't really know who your core audience is, so you just kind of throw stuff out there to see what sticks, but you got to be really careful. And quality of content matters versus quantity of content. That's another misconception, is let's just rush, just get tons of content out there. Like, unless you're very good at producing quality content quickly over and over and over again, you should not be doing that. And even Disney, with all their money and all their power, they're not good at producing lots of content. Like, you're seeing it in all these movies and all these shows. Like, even fans of the MCU are like, slow down. We don't need all these characters to have a show and all these movies to be like rushed out. Like, I mean, you asked me the question last time, like, am I excited for the movie Kraven? I'm not really that excited. I mean, I've seen the preview. It looks okay. But he wasn't like a main character I cared about in the comic book series, right? Until he started battling Spider-Man. Now, maybe like in the next Spider-Man, franchise film, this Craven will like interact with, like maybe there'll be a fight between that Craven and Spider-Man. Then that kind of becomes somewhat interesting because you're kind of like, oh, cool, like that was the. But I mean, I got to be honest, like the Black Widow movie was okay. I mean, I did like it, but it wasn't game changing. Like I didn't really care too much to see the Black Widow's backstory. What I got from the Black Widow in Avengers and all that was good enough for me.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion on the whole deal. I think Bob Iger is now trying to funny enough, like we have a friend where their famous motion that they like to do is this. if you're watching the YouTube video, right? It's like, hey. And I think Bob Iger, is kind of doing that right now. He's kind of putting his hands up and he's kind of saying, "Hey, we got this. And how we're gonna corral and get everything back in order is we're gonna take some of these film projects off the schedule. We're not gonna pursue them, and some of these assets like." I don't know what all the different linear channels are, but they have lots. They oversee ESPN. They oversee, I think, Discovery Channel, if I'm not mistaken. Like, there's a lot of assets that they own. And so maybe they'll sell Nat Geo. Thank you. Maybe they'll sell that property. Maybe they'll sell ESPN. Who knows? Yeah. That's what I hear like he's saying. So moral of the story, guys, this was designed just to be a quick episode, because this was major remarks from one of the most powerful companies in the world, a very well-known brand, very loved brand. But, even someone their size can get tripped up and caught up in the hoopla of like trying to appease and be something for everybody. So moral of the story of this quick hitter episode is don't try to be something for everybody. Stay in your lane, stay focused on your core audience that's buttering your toast, that's bringing in the most amount of money for your business. And if you do want to test a new market, if you do want to try testing, going after somebody new, make sure you do it in a way that it's very isolated, in a sense of like, it's like almost like a focus group. Like, okay, we're going to try to put this asset out there, or this property, or this piece of content, and we're going to really measure the feedback we get from people about it. So like, try to encapsulate it so it doesn't just take over your whole business and decimate your fan base and your customer base. That's my thoughts. Gino, what do you think?
That's a great point. Like, isolate. There was always talk, at least among fans, like if we're talking Disney Plus here, where there was always talk with the Marvel shows from ABC and Netflix coming over onto Disney Plus, and lots of fans who speculate all the time all over YouTube had great ideas, and they were just like, well, instead of putting on Disney Plus, because it doesn't make sense, why don't you just designate it to FX, which is another one of their assets, or Hulu for that matter, because that can go towards a audience that is adult. You can curse, have all this stuff on it, right? And so if you're going to take a product, I think you just hit it on the head, and I don't know if you meant to, but this is great. If you're going to expand a product, then maybe isolate another lane for a particular audience is what I would think the solution would be. And of course, you want to do your testing and all that as well, because if it's not going to work, then why have it, right?
Agreed.
All right.
Totally agreed.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's a wrap for this episode of the AdHero Podcast Quick Hitter. My name is Matthew Livieri.
And I'm Gino Giovanni. Signing